Have you ever stopped to wonder if you added up everything you own and subtracted everything you owe, what number would you be left with? Would it be comforting or a little scary? That number is your net worth. And trust me, it's one of the most important financial numbers you'll ever know. But here's the funny thing. Most people walk around with no idea what theirs actually is. They'll brag about their salary or their job title, but net worth? Blank stares. And yet, it's the real scoreboard of your financial life. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Come on, Chris, I don't have billions like Warren Buffett or Elon Musk, so what's the point? Well, here's the twist. It doesn't matter. Net worth isn't about comparing yourself to the richest guys in the room. It's about understanding where you stand, spotting the progress you're making, and planning where you want to go. So, let's break it down. What exactly is net worth? In simple terms, net worth is what you own minus what you owe. That's it. It's not your paycheck, it's not your side hustle earnings, and it's definitely not how much cash you have stuffed under your mattress. Let's say you own a house worth $500,000, a car worth $50,000, and maybe you've got $10,000 in jewelry, electronics, or random stuff with value. That's a total of $560,000 in assets. Pretty nice, right? But wait, don't start celebrating yet, because you also have a $300,000 mortgage, $40,000 left on your car loan, and $3,000 in credit card debt. That's $343,000 you owe. Subtract that from the $560,000 you own, and boom, your net worth is $217,000. Notice something? Your annual salary never entered the equation. That's the number one mistake people make. You can earn six figures and still have a negative net worth if you're drowning in debt. And on the flip side, someone earning a modest income but saving and investing consistently could be quietly building a solid net worth. Why net worth is the real scoreboard. Think of your net worth like a snapshot of your financial health. Your income is like the water flowing into your bathtub, but your net worth is the water level itself. You can earn a lot of money, a strong flow, but if you've got big leaks, like debt, high spending, or no savings, that water level never really rises. Tracking net worth shows you whether you're moving forward, standing still, or quietly sliding backward. It's like stepping on the financial scale, not always fun, but necessary. What the data says about net worth in America. Now let's get into some real numbers. The US Federal Reserve does a massive study every 3 years called the Survey of Consumer Finances. It's like the ultimate financial health report card for American households. According to the 2019 data released in 2020, the mean or average household net worth was a jaw-dropping $748,800. Sounds amazing, right? But here's the catch. That number is heavily skewed by the ultra-wealthy. Think billionaires pulling the average way up, the same way a couple of kids who score 100% on a test make the class average look better than it actually is. That's why looking at the median, the middle point, is much more realistic. And the median household net worth is $121,700. That feels a lot closer to reality, doesn't it? But it gets even more interesting when you break it down by age. Net worth by age group and why it makes sense. Let's walk through the numbers age by age, because chances are you'll spot yourself somewhere along this timeline. Under 35 years old, median net worth just $13,900. And honestly, that's not shocking. Most people in their 20s and early 30s are just starting careers, still paying off student loans, maybe buying their first car or home. Renters dominate this age group, and the Federal Reserve found that homeowners have a median net worth of $255,000, while renters just $6,300. Big gap. So if you're under 35 and your net worth feels small, don't panic. You're in the build-up phase. Age 35 to 44, median net worth jumps to $91,300. By this point, many people have stable jobs, maybe dual incomes if they're married, and they've started building equity in a home or contributing to retirement accounts. Of course, expenses also rise. kids, bigger houses, nicer cars, but the overall trajectory starts to move upward. Age 45 through 54, median net worth $168,600. This is the phase where a lot of people hit their stride financially. Mortgages are being paid down, investments are compounding, and some debts are finally disappearing. But it can also be a time when lifestyle inflation creeps in. I've worked hard, I deserve this, leading to bigger expenses and sometimes bigger mistakes. Age 55 to 64, median net worth $212,500. Retirement is on the horizon. Income might plateau, but hopefully savings and investments have grown. The best prepared households are still building. Others are just getting by, often realizing late that they should have started investing much earlier. And here's where the story changes. What happens after 65? Households aged 65 to 74 see a slight bump to $266,400 in median net worth. By now, many are retired or semi-retired. Assets are still growing, but expenses like healthcare start eating into the budget. Then, for households 75 and older, net worth actually drops to around $254,800. And honestly, that's not a disaster. At that point, it's less about building wealth and more about enjoying it responsibly. After all, what's the point of saving all your life if you never take the vacation, never spoil the grandkids, never enjoy the comfort you worked for? Why these numbers matter to you. Now, remember, these numbers aren't about comparing yourself to strangers. They're about context. Knowing the median helps you understand whether you're ahead of the curve, right on track, or maybe a little behind. But more importantly, tracking your own net worth over time is like watching your financial story unfold. It shows you if the steps you're taking, whether that's paying off debt, investing, or saving, are actually moving you forward. Because here's the truth. Someone with a $10 million net worth could still be in financial trouble if all their assets are tied up in luxury houses and exotic cars that don't generate income. Meanwhile, someone with a $200,000 net worth but strong passive income streams could actually be financially free. It's not just about how big the number is, it's about what that number means for your life. Quick recap before we move on. So far, we've covered what net worth really is, what you own minus what you owe, why income doesn't tell the whole story, how net worth looks across different age groups in America, and why the average number can be misleading compared to the median. In next part, we'll get into the good stuff, how you can actually increase your net worth, build financial independence, and avoid the traps that keep people stuck. We'll talk about debt, investing, expenses, income streams, and the mindset that makes all the difference. So if you've ever wanted to know how to go from just getting by to actually building wealth, stick around, because the next part is where we start turning numbers into action. All right, now that you know what net worth really means and how it looks across different age groups, let's tackle the million-dollar question. How do you actually grow it? Because here's the truth. Knowing your net worth is like stepping on the scale. It tells you where you are, but it doesn't change anything. What changes your financial health is what you do next. So let's break this down into practical, doable strategies that can transform your financial picture over time. Step 1. Tame the debt monster. Let's start with the elephant in the room, debt. If net worth is what you own minus what you owe, then guess what? Every dollar of debt drags that number down. Think of debt like a hole in your financial bucket. You can keep pouring water in, your income, but if the hole is too big, the bucket never fills. And the nastiest holes? Credit cards. With interest rates often north of 20%, they eat your money like Pac-Man. Student loans, car loans, personal loans, they all add up. The key is to prioritize paying down high-interest debt first. Why? Because paying off a credit card that charges 20% interest is like earning a guaranteed 20% return on your money. And trust me, Wall Street doesn't hand out 20% returns easily. So before you start dreaming about investments, clear out the weeds. Paying off debt doesn't just reduce stress. It's like giving your net worth a turbo boost. Step 2. Invest in assets that grow. Once you've patched the holes, it's time to focus on filling the bucket. And here's where assets come in. Real estate, stocks, bonds, retirement accounts, even starting a business. The trick is to put money into things that appreciate. That is, they go up in value over time. A house, if bought wisely, typically increases in value. Stocks, historically, have returned around 7 to 10% annually in the US, according to data from the S&P 500. And compounding, the magic of earning returns on your returns, makes those numbers even sweeter. Let's put it in perspective. If you invested $10,000 in the S&P 500 30 years ago, you'd have over $200,000 today. That's the power of compounding working silently in the background. Now, not every investment will be a home run, but spreading your money across a mix of assets helps reduce risk while still growing your wealth. Step 3. Cut expenses without cutting joy. Here's a secret. You don't need to live like a monk to build wealth. Cutting expenses doesn't mean giving up coffee forever or living in a shoebox. It's about being smart with where your money goes. Ask yourself, do I really need 5 streaming subscriptions when I only watch Netflix? Could I cook at home 3 nights a week instead of ordering takeout 5 times? These small changes can redirect hundreds, even thousands of dollars every year into investments. Think of expenses like calories. One donut won't hurt you, but daily donuts? Different story. The occasional splurge is fine, but when lifestyle inflation becomes your norm, new car every 2 years, eating out daily, it quietly eats away at your ability to build wealth. And here's the kicker. Every dollar you don't spend isn't just saved once. When invested, it works for you year after year. That $200 you save monthly could grow into tens of thousands over time. Step 4. Grow your income. Yes, beyond your job. You can only cut so many expenses, but there's no ceiling on how much you can earn. That's why the next lever to pull is increasing income. Sure, ask for a raise, switch to a higher paying job, or pick up overtime. But don't stop there. The real game changer is creating additional income streams. This could be a side hustle, freelance work, renting out a room, starting an online business, or investing in dividend-paying stocks. Even small amounts matter. An extra $300 a month from a side gig doesn't sound life-changing, but invest it consistently for 20 years and you're looking at serious growth. Think of income streams like rivers flowing into a lake. The more rivers you have, the faster the lake, your net worth, fills up. Step 5. Build passive income. Here's the holy grail. Income that comes in while you sleep. Because financial independence isn't about having a certain net worth number. It's about whether your assets can generate enough income to cover your lifestyle. This could be from rental properties, dividends, royalties, or a business that runs without you. Passive income means your time isn't chained to your bank account. Remember earlier when I mentioned that someone with $10 million in net worth could still struggle if their assets don't generate income? That's why passive income matters more than raw numbers. It's the freedom factor. Step 6. Be patient. Wealth grows quietly. Here's the part no one likes to hear. It takes time. Building net worth isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. You won't double your wealth overnight unless you win the lottery, and even then, statistics say many lottery winners go broke. But the slow and steady approach works. Paying down debt, investing consistently, controlling expenses, and increasing income, it all stacks up. Year after year, your financial snowball grows. The challenge is that in the short term, it feels slow. Like planting a tree, you water it, care for it, and for a while, it barely changes. But give it time, and one day, you're sitting in the shade. The mindset shift. Here's a thought. What if you treated your net worth like your health? You wouldn't expect to get fit after one workout, right? But with consistent habits, Exercise, good food, enough sleep, you transform your health over time. Money works the same way. Regular saving, smart investing, keeping debt in check, these small daily choices compound into long-term financial strength. And unlike your salary, which depends on your boss, your net worth depends on you. It's the ultimate self-measure. A few final thoughts. So let's tie it all together. Your net worth isn't about comparing yourself to billionaires or even your neighbor. It's about knowing where you stand, tracking your progress, and making intentional moves that push you forward. Start by killing off high-interest debt. Then direct your money into assets that grow. Keep expenses in check, find ways to increase income, and focus on creating passive income streams. Above all, give it time. Because wealth, like health, doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of consistent choices, day after day. So the next time someone brags about their salary, remember, income is just the flow. Net worth is the level. And now you know how to raise yours. Stay consistent, stay curious, and remember, your future financial self will thank you for the steps you take today.